All right, good evening. Relax, I'm going to be short. My name is Orla Mooney, and I'm here to speak to you this evening about the network edge ecosystem. And I'll explain exactly what that is in a moment. Now, I know some of you are probably going, oh, for God's sake, it is almost 8 o'clock. I am tired. This isn't even technical. Why do I have to stay here? No reason. You can leave if you like. One minor reason you might consider staying is if you like making money. I kind of do. So if that's interesting to you, you might want to hang around. Anybody here either work for a startup or work for a small company or have dreams of working for a startup and making it big? Yeah, well, from what I've heard, if you live in the Bay Area and you ever have dreams of owning a house, you have to have that dream, because otherwise it's probably never going to happen. So the advantage of this program is that it can help make those dreams come true. Now, you have to do a minor few details first, like have the perfect startup and have the perfect company buy it. But what this does provide you with is something that is necessary, and that's you need two things. One, people have got to know you exist in order to find out about you and want to buy you. Two, you've got to provide value. We can't help you with the second, we can help you with the first. So this is our very exciting legal disclaimer slide. What this should say and doesn't is that if the excitement of this presentation completely overwhelms you and you pass out and we have to call an ambulance, Intel will not pay your medical bills. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to keep it short. They scheduled me for 30 minutes. They only told me it was 20 minutes. I think that's because I work in marketing, and they probably figured somebody in marketing wouldn't keep to 30 minutes. So if they told me 20, there was a chance I'd shut up before 30. But I actually kept it to about 15 in case there was any questions, so I should be able to make up a little bit of time for you. So I've just got 6 content slides. I'm going to go through what the definition of the edge is with respect to this program. It's not a technical definition, as you're going to see very shortly. What are the various players we're seeing in the ecosystem for the edge, and what kind of needs are they bringing to us, and how we think we might be able to address those needs by the formation of this program. And then I'm going to be reaching out to you. We want you to join us, and I'll tell you how you can do that towards the end. You've probably seen 1,001 definitions of the edge at this point. So you can see this one's pretty broad. It's going all the way from the core right through to the access point. And you might kind of go, that's ridiculous. There's no way that, I mean, for me, really, the edge, it's really going to be the next generation central office. It's not going to be all these other areas. Yeah, you could absolutely be right. And you could be going, no way. It's got to be right at the base station. I mean, VR and gaming, they're never going to work if you don't have that latency really right up close to the customer. Yeah, you could be right too. We don't know what the perfect definition of the edge is going to be yet. And so we believe there's actually going to be a number of areas where it can be deployed. Regional central offices out at the base station. So from the perspective of this ecosystem, I don't care. From our perspective, it'll go all the way from the core through to the access point. So if you provide any piece of the solution anywhere in that, or you consume any part of that solution, then I'm interested in talking to you. So in terms of who are we bringing into this ecosystem? Any of you familiar with Intel Network Builders today? Guys, you have got to get on this. Intel Network Builders is an ecosystem that we have that's got pretty much all the comm service providers and people who supply the infrastructure that they depend on. So like the ISVs, the OSVs, the OEMs, ODMs, all that kind of stuff. But what it's also got is it's got a ton of training, it's got a ton of resources available, and if you've got small companies there, you've got a ton of benefits that you can grab onto. The fact you're here today and you're interested in all of these networking talks, I can't believe there aren't more of you involved in that. I highly recommend you get involved. So we think that the players who are involved in that today, comm service providers, OEMs, TEMs, NEMs, etc., they're going to be a very critical part of the edge ecosystem as well. But we see it as being wider than that, because we believe that the application developers, the enterprises, and the cloud service providers are also going to be critical for this. So let's take a couple of examples of what the needs are in each case, because it's not universal. The comm service providers own the infrastructure today, but the danger for them is ending up as a dumb pipe. So that last mile, they just end up as a dumb pipe delivery service, but they're determined not to let that happen. So you'll see a lot of, if anybody subscribes to Telecom TV, you see a lot of partnerships forming right now between the comm service providers and various other TEMs, and you see them with the cloud service providers. They're forming partnerships and they're creating a lot of innovation because they want to come up with these services that are going to be able to monetize at the edge. They own that last mile, they want to make the most of it. TEMs, OEMs, etc., they've been a really core part of our Intel Network Builders program, I think pretty much since it's founded. They're coming to Intel now and they're saying, with regards to the edge, do you have a reference architecture for us? Do you have a best known configuration? Because we want to make sure that our next generation edge platform, it's going to meet the needs of the target industries that we're going after. So they're looking for help and guidance to us from us for that. Speaking of the target industries, they're also looking to be match made. They want to know who are the ISVs who are in the target industries that I'm going after. Because there's so many different enterprise verticals, they want to make sure that they're partnering up with the right people in order to provide the right kind of solutions. The application developers then, and that's kind of one of the main reasons I'm here tonight. The perception, and don't shoot the messenger, but the perception is that the application developers have kind of a two-tiered view of the architecture. Kind of views their application as either residing in the cloud or residing in the device. They don't really see any need for it to go anywhere else in the network. From our perspective, we believe that the future is going to be an n-tiered architecture. And so what we'd like to see is for those applications to be able to onboard wherever is necessary depending on the application. But we want to provide help to do that. Actually, we missed my bio completely, which is kind of irrelevant, but if you had it, you would know that I was actually a hardware engineer, not software. So I have no idea what you need. I don't know what it is that we can bring to you in this ecosystem from an application developer perspective that will make sure you can onboard your applications as easily as possible to the edge. From a cloud service provider's perspective then, they're already kind of at the edge. I mean, we already have AWS with their Greengrass. Microsoft Azure has also created an edge version of the public cloud Azure, so they're already there. What we see with the cloud service providers coming to the edge is if we enable them on the edge, you're automatically enabling a whole host of solutions, applications, and developers who have already been developing on that platform. So we consider that really advantageous. That nirvana situation would be develop once, deploy anywhere. So it doesn't matter whether you deploy it on public cloud, on the telco edge, on the on-prem edge, be all the same. Then from the enterprises then. So from an edge perspective, the edge is only going to succeed if it's solving a problem somebody truly cares about. Now, if you've got a problem you truly care about, you're willing to put your hand in your pocket and actually pay for the resolution of that problem. And to date, with the POCs that have been done on the edge, the ones I'd consider successful. So when I say successful, it's more than just one set of machines in a lab. It's actually made it all the way to a field deployment. They have been driven by the enterprises. So what we want to be able to do in this ecosystem is put together full solutions for them. So they've got the hardware, they've got the software, they've got the applications they need on it. But the problem is the enterprises are so wide and varied. You've got the financial services, you've got medical, you've got retail, you've got industrial, you've got automotive, transportation. Where are you going to start? How do you make those decisions? Okay, so what is the network edge ecosystem? How is it going to address any of those problems? So it's a technical enabling co-marketing engagement, which is focused on edge solutions and offerings. So as I mentioned, there are strategic partnerships already forming in the industry. So as I mentioned, Nokia have formed one with AWS, and every time you kind of look at any of the telecom publications, you'll see new partnerships forming. But there's more to be done, because the TEMs are coming to us and they're asking for guidance on the ISVs. We have others coming to us going, we want to do a POC, but we need an application that does X. So all of these partnerships need to be formed. We want to use our scaling tools so that we can provide guidance on what reference architecture can you use? What will be suitable to deploy on the edge? And so we have solution testing and optimization facilities within the ecosystem. We have our Intel Select solutions, which I don't know, Sujatha, whether or not you've had a talk on Intel Select at some point. I figured you probably had. And we've got solution collateral development can help with all of that. Then for our scale programs, as I mentioned on the enterprises, there are so many of them. Where do you start? So our 5G team has decided where to start. And they've chosen 4 verticals that they're going to focus their efforts on to begin with. They're industrial, automotive/transportation, retail, and smart cities. So the idea is that we'll engage, those areas have already had some POCs and they have some use cases and they're gaining a little bit of traction. So the idea is to focus in on those areas, basically find out what we can learn from each one. And the first one's going to be a disaster. All we'll probably do is make mistakes left, right, and center. But they're the mistakes we're not going to make the next time we try scale to a different vertical. And so each time we would expect to be faster and more efficient in being able to scale through the verticals. And once we have gone through those 4, the world is our oyster. We can then move on to the financial services, medical. We'll have a lot more flexibility on being able to supply targeted applications where they're actually needed and how they're actually needed. So how do you actually join? Oh, just on the matchmaking opportunities with end users. As I said, this isn't going to be very helpful if nobody actually wants to buy it at the end. And the enterprises are the ones that we anticipate are going to be writing the checks. So what we want to do is a layered approach. So in terms of recruiting for the ecosystem, we started with our Intel Network Builders, which I was kind of shocked how little you knew about that one. intelnetworkbuilders.com, by the way, you need to check that out. And that has a whole bunch of, we have I think about 290 members I think in that. And what we did is we went through it quite selectively on those we knew had edge solutions, and we reached out to the field going, okay, who on the accounts you deal with you know are actively involved in the edge. Now, the edge is a real buzzword right now. Everybody's kind of, oh yeah, I'm interested in the edge. What do you do on it? Yeah, I kind of check what other people are doing. That's not what we're looking for right now. We want to have people who either have market-ready edge infrastructure solution or they can demonstrate they have traction towards an end solution. So once we have that in place, the idea is that we want to bring in the consumers of those solutions. So we want to have the layer of creation first and the layer of consumption above that. So this is, I kind of thought I'd be skipping over this one really quickly because I thought you'd all be familiar with Intel Network Builders and you'd be familiar with everything that this gets offered. Now, I know that some of you are going to look at this going, this is marketing rubbish. I don't need to be worried about this. And yeah, that's fair enough. But remember what I said about the beginning, if people don't know about you and don't know what you're offering, they're not going to care about you and they're not going to be interested in investing in you. So what this can provide is we offer a number of these benefits already with Intel Network Builders. Now the difference is that Intel Network Builders is, because it's become so big, it's going to almost like, it's developing something called a winner circle. It's a bit like a tiered model. So these kind of benefits are not going to be available to every single member. It's going to depend on which Intel Select solutions you're promoting, etc. It's going to be kind of tied to a points type system. The edge is going to be a little bit different on that because we're focused in very much on wanting to gain traction in this area. So even if you're a really small player, but you've got a really compelling story around the edge, and that's something we can promote and something that we can highlight to other partners. It doesn't matter how small you are, it doesn't matter what else you have or haven't done with Intel, that's attractive to us. So the kind of things that are on offer, you've got keynote speakerships. We did the event we actually launched the ecosystem yesterday at the Layer 123 Zero Touch, the NFV and Zero Touch event in the DoubleTree in San Jose. We did like 7 chip chats with various partners who had joined the ecosystem program. We do publication developments. Each one of those customers has got a microsite on our Intel Network Builder site. They have a separate tab highlighting all of their edge solutions. Because we want it to be easy for people to find what edge solutions are already out there and how they can avail of them. So you'd be delighted to hear, given that it's 8 o'clock at night, that this is my last slide. So where are we now? As I said, we launched yesterday. Where we are actively recruiting across all 5 of those areas that I mentioned. Putting less of a focus on enterprises right now because we do want to have the solutions in place before we kind of invite in the consumers, but some are already involved. We're already speaking to a number of the car manufacturers and that, because we're already dealing with them through our autonomous driving division. So we're kind of making them aware that this is coming. But I'm very, very interested in application developers, and I'm really interested in knowing, what do you need? Do you need technical help? Do you need marketing help? If you need technical help, what kind of technical help? Is workshop kind of thing helpful? Is it individual engineer to engineer relationships you need? I'm not saying we can accommodate everything, but if I don't know the needs, we cannot address them. So that's something that I'd really, really like this group to help us with. And then I want you to go to the website, which is networkbuilders.intel.com/network edge ecosystem. And there you'll be able to see the kind of stuff. It's only just started. We just kicked off yesterday. But you'll be able to see what the vision is. And hopefully we'll be able to bring that vision to fruition, but we need your help to do so.